Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Starcraft 2 replay cast. Today it is a 1 vs 1 on the map Invader LE, and we have our red Zerg player, SnuteFanGirl, and up at the top, we have our blue Protoss player, iNcontroL, and we're going to speed this up to the 8x mark, the 2-minute point of the game when all the good stuff starts to happen. And now if the sound is a little bit different from my normal replays, do not fret. It is only because I had to open this replay in the alternate StarCraft replay, if you will. That means it's basically a previous version replay, and when you try to watch a previous version replay, it sort of boots you off Battle.net, and when it does that, it's pretty much different, like alternative settings. It doesn't actually keep your same sound in settings, so it just, as soon as you start the game, it's just explosively loud at 100%. So I have to pretty much redo the sound settings. And if I didn't get them quite right, then I apologize. They are usually normally always the same, but in this case, a little bit different. But our red Zerg player did an early expand, and now 4 Zerglings out on the field here. And a mothership core, taking away those nasty, filthy, unbuildable rocks. And the Adept gonna get in on this action. And the highlight of the game, these unbuildable rocks. We might as well get this probe in on this too. Come on. Nope. I have to take control of the replay to do that later. And now. So, expanding here. Already has an expansion down, a second expansion for the Zerg. And researching a metabolic boost at the moment. Not too much for the Protoss, just that good old warp gate research right now. Twilight Council coming up way in the back there to hide that. And a couple adepts here are going to chase away. These Zerglings going to transfer ahead and try and get on top of them. But the metabolic boost moves just a scotch faster than those adepts can handle. And we have an Overlord here that's going to move on in to the Protoss base and try and spot what's going on. And a couple new gateways coming down for the Protoss here. And trying to saturate this expansion. 10 out of 16 at the moment. And now a big group of Zerglings moving on out to scout out a little bit. See if they can cause any trouble. The hatchery just about up for the Zerg of SnuteFanGirl. And a nice block here. Won't be able to get in with those adepts standing there. Going to have to try and take them out one at a time. But that is not going to be a very efficient process. So those Zerglings are going to have to back off for now. Not going to be able to do too much. May be able to Baneling bust that down, but I actually haven't seen a Baneling bust in quite a while, as the Banelings, I guess, sort of fell out of favor a little bit, especially with good players, force fielding, and all that such. Other than in Zerg versus Zerg, they are still quite useful. Now, 2 assimilators coming down for the Protoss there, and already has 2 other ones going. And that Twilight Council going, getting blank here. They're going to start massing up some Stalkers soon. Sentry is tickling that Overlord there, and now these Stalkers are in on it and takes them out. Overlord doesn't really spot too much there. Just really sees that. I don't even think he's seen the Twilight Council back there, but definitely seen that there was Zergling or Stalkers rather. So I'm sure he knows that that warp gate research will be coming shortly here. Or she, it could be a she, since it is SnuteFanGirl, but you never know these days. You might just have some dude naming SnuteFanGirl just because he thinks it's funny, but who knows. And now, moving down to the bottom side of the map there, those Zerglings still can't quite get inside. A very nice little setup there. It's sort of a classic StarCraft 1 kind of setup without the ramp kind of deal. As in StarCraft 2, everybody always uses the ramps. There's always a ramp in every single base. And I find that sometimes just a bit boring. And now it's a little bit fair. I'll admit it's fair. But I miss some of the old StarCraft 2 maps that were totally like wildly unfair in certain parts. And I just found those maps really, really fun. Some of those maps that like nobody ever played. I'm not talking about like big game hunters or anything. But some of those maps that just nobody ever really played were really, really fun to play. As they were just sort of so random. But StarCraft 2 maps are set up for absolute fairness, which is a good thing, admittedly, but sometimes I miss those old classic maps. And Zerglings running around trying to be a nuisance here. Might be able to get into the base, but it looks like we have an Adept sitting there, though, that is going to deny that from them. And he moves out of the way. That was a very silly thing to do, letting some Zerglings in. That's not going to last too long, though. The overcharged pylon and the mothership core takes it out, but could have been a little bit worse if there was a bigger pile of Zerglings in on that. And another observer coming in here. And looks like he already has one observer out. Going to get a second one going. And now Resonating Blaze for those Adepts is on the way. And we'll check out these Zerg base here. Really piling up a big pile of roaches. Ye old pile of roaches. And Overseer is going to be dropping some changelings. Those are going to be moving out, seeing what they can spot. And a hallucinated Phoenix now flying overhead. And I never got how a hallucinated unit can actually scout something. If you're making your opponent hallucinate that, then I'm not sure how that's really scouting for you. But hey, it's StarCraft, so why not? And roaches moving on up. And that is one fairly impressive pile of roaches there at the 7-minute mark. He's really just pounding them out. And I'm just going to call it he for now. And if it's a girl, I'm very, very sorry, but you know how it is. And I'm going to be pushing forward. And nice force fields there separate the majority of those roaches, but there's still so many roaches that that half the majority is still quite a big pile of roaches. The other one's going after the new expansion here, pushing iNcontroL into the back of the base here. Now the Stalkers in the back of the ye olde classic looking StarCraft base there. I've been saying ye olde a lot this map, but seems appropriate this time around. The two Overseers there flying around with the roaches, and I'm not really quite sure why, just I guess for maybe Dark Templar, but it's not like the roaches can hit the observers in the air once they find them anyway, but we'll have to see what he's really going to be doing with those. It seems like they're just fodder for the Stalkers right now. And Roach is going to be running away for now. Did get a hold of that expansion, so that puts him ahead a little bit, as he does have 3 bases still. And is still just really pounding out roaches for now. And not even getting anything else at the moment in production. We do have some Hydralisks now by the looks of it. And not even morphing into Ravagers or anything, just really going straight up roaches. And I remember in the alpha, roaches started with 2 armor, and they were just so good. I actually got the alpha invite in StarCraft, the original StarCraft 2, Wings of Liberty, and I remember playing the first day or so and seeing roaches with 2 armor, and I just thought, wow, that is overpowered. And they certainly were. That's why they only have 1 armor now, as 2 armor was pretty tremendous. And Sentry's going down here. Now Immortal's going down, countering the roaches, but there are just so many roaches they can't even counter them, and really needs to focus down on this Nexus here, but there are too many Stalkers. We're going to try and get rid of some of those first, and even more roaches on the way. Now some Hydralisks as well to help deal damage to that to those gateway units. Hydralisks just absolutely destroy gateway units, and always have, pretty much always will. And here come only 2 of them, though, so it's not going to be really too much damage. The Hydralisks really need to focus down that Mothership Core, because right now that Mothership Core is just getting in a ton of free damage. There they go, they take it down, and now going after those Stalkers and the Immortals. And there are 4 Hydralisks here, so that's still quite a bit of damage. Hydralisks attack so fast, but it's just not going to be enough right now. And he's still piling in roaches, but the Protoss has the defensive advantage, so he's just really summoning in, whether warping in units in the nearby location. So he has the defensive advantage in the sense that he can just bring in units quicker than his opponent can. And so now his opponent's going to have to expand another time here. The third expansion, 4th hatchery there, and another macro hatchery would be pretty nice. I always believe in the macro hatchery. However, right now he doesn't really have enough funds after just building that new hatchery, so we'll have to transfer some drones over there as he's pretty low here. So he'll have to get this 3rd expansion going, and then another macro hatch might be pretty useful, as his first main base here is pretty much all out of juice. But a macro hatch, love the macro hatch. Pretty much always make a macro hatch when I'm Zerg, when I can, I suppose. And now moving on up. And maybe that's why I never made it to Grandmaster, but who knows? I still really like the macro hatcheries anyway. The more hatcheries, the more fun, the more killing, the more winning. But now, Stalkers engaging the roaches, but there's just a good few Hydralisk in the mix, and I like this little bit of Hydras in the mix, doing a little bit of damage. I think he needs just a few more, and the Hydralisk still remaining untouched for the most part, and they're just pounding out the damage. And now going to start getting killed here from the back. Now the roaches are just about out of juice here. The Stalkers are just really pouring in. Really needs to get rid of this expansion. He needs to start sending some Zerglings, some fast Zerglings up here while he attacks. While he attacks up here, some fast Zerglings in the mix there of those probes would be absolutely wonderful, as he was completely surrounded right here and completely occupying his opponent both on this side and on this side. So some Zerglings would have came in here, did some damage to the probes. They would have gotten killed off by the units that were on this side, but they could have did some damage to those probes, even especially if you send them over here to the gas probes right now. They could have killed a few of them, so it'd be a pretty nice tactic to do, considering they already have metabolic boost, and they'd get in there pretty quickly. And now we have ground weapons level 3 on the way, and just level 2 missile techs. The Protoss already much higher in terms of upgrades than his opponent right now. No armor at all just yet. And now we have some Ravagers on the way for the Zerg, and Templar Archives coming up as well. And now some Zealots out on the field here to help deal and use those for meat against the mass roaches there, as the roaches are doing pretty good damage against those stalkers at such close range and with so many of them. However, the 4 immortals in the group now are going to do big damage to these roaches. Now going to go after one of these gateways, but didn't quite get it down. I think it should commit it and take that gateway down. That would be one less unit that could come out every so often. Of course, every warp cooldown for the Protoss, that would have been pretty nice. And again, some Zerglings right now would be absolutely ideal, as this army is completely occupied with this army, and even some Zerglings that would come around and block this. That would be absolutely devastating right now for the Protoss to have Zerglings come around the other side. And now the Warp Gate going to fall here. And looks like a pylon or two may fall as well if he decides to focus him down. But no, he's going to go after the units here. And going to be going after the Immortals. Needs to get those Immortals out. Maybe try and focus 1 or 2 down with the Hydralisks, and then go after the Stalkers with the Roaches. And still pushing into the base here. And pushing deeper and deeper. Did get one of those gateways, or a couple of the gateways. I think just one there. And now getting some pylons down. But he is under supply right now, so those pylons really aren't hurting him to lose those at the moment, although it certainly will to have to replace those later on. And now just a few Stalkers left here, and iNcontroL GG's out to SnuteFanGirl there. And a very good game indeed. A tough game the whole time. I actually really enjoyed the absolute aggressiveness of SnuteFanGirl here with all of those roaches. I thought at first that would be sort of a fail move, all of those roaches, but it was just incredible, the amount of pressure that he was putting on his opponent. And again, I would have still, even though he won, I still would have liked to see some Zerglings, even just a few. He does have probably some larvae laying around. Looks like, no, he's actually macroing quite well and doesn't have many larvae, but again, a few Zerglings could have ran in through there, or while he was fighting here, some Zerglings could have ran in through here and then all the way up into the base. Not that there was too many probes up here, but so he could have done some damage to the base here, got out some of these pylons, taken down some of the power here, or just did some damage overall, or even put it in some Zerglings in here. Could have easily taken and overwhelmed that photon cannon. But I hope you guys enjoyed this replay, and I will see you guys next time.